Mayor Eric Adams. Bienvenido a VOZ. Welcome to VOZ.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Let me start by asking about something you've said earlier this busy week you're having. You've said that your message has not been properly reported, but you've been in politics for some time now, right? You've served as state senator, you've served as president of Brooklyn, you've been serving as mayor for over 3 years. Don't New Yorkers know you already? Or what record do you want to set straight? Or what do they still not know about you?
And that's a great question. And if you were to do an analysis of how my administration was covered for the last 3.5 years, you will see that much of the great success that we have accomplished has not been reported on. Yes, New Yorkers know me. When I was a state senator, much of the successful things that I did was reported on. When I was borough president, what I accomplished was reported on. For some reason, when I was elected mayor, there was a total, complete blackout of our success. And so what I must do now as a candidate, I can use my campaign funds to speak directly to voters on our success. When I'm at town hall meetings, when I'm at older adult centers or at churches, and I talk to them about what we have done in building more affordable housing in individual years in the history of the city. When I talk about what we've done for children with dyslexia, or what we have done, and even taking all the income tax for low-income New Yorkers and no longer having it anymore. They just don't know about the great things we've done in the city and how we've turned around the city. And I need to speak directly to voters and share that with them.
Right. Opportunities just as like this interview. Let's talk about New York's Hispanic community. There are over 2 million Hispanics in New York. In 2021, they were a key part of the coalition that helped you get elected as mayor. But 2 recent polls, one by Slingshot Strategies and the other by Data for Progress, show you trailing among voters in general, but also and specifically among Hispanic voters. There's a gap of nearly 30 points with the front runner. What message would you like to send to los Latinos of New York?
I think that when you look at what Latinos want, they want a safe city. They want a city that allows them to raise healthy children and families. And they want one that's fair, particularly around immigration. And when you look at how the message was distorted on what we did in immigration, we managed 237 migrants and asylum seekers. And some of our Latino brothers and sisters felt that we were actually doing too much for the arriving migrants and asylum seekers. And they felt as though that they were being ignored, some of them that went through the process legally in their minds. And so we had to really explain to how we were very fair and how we made sure that all of those migrants and asylum seekers were going to be receiving the dignity that they deserve, and how we were going to continue to lift up our undocumented brothers and sisters who were here for a long period of time. And then when you heard some of the concerns from the Spanish-speaking community, public safety was an issue. They were really troubled about the crime in the community, and we hit it head on, removing 22,000 illegal guns and making sure our city is safer.
Right. You've recently celebrated the lowest number of shootings and homicides in New York history, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that in a few seconds, but first, I wanted to ask about the situation in the next elections, specifically about the 3 serious independent candidates in the race. Yourself, of course, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, and attorney and former prosecutor Jim Walton. All 3 of you are running in strong opposition to the Democratic candidate, socialist Zoran Mamdani. And there seems to be an agreement that you are dividing the anti-Mamdani vote between yourself and weakening the opposition. And yet, none of you has been willing to step aside. Why are you the best candidate to defeat Mamdani?
Well, I want to start with, I'm the sitting mayor. And when you look at who wins on independent lines, the record is sitting mayors. Mayor Bloomberg did it as on an independent candidate. Mayor Lindsay did it as an independent candidate. And so sitting mayors have been successful on independent line. Of those who were not sitting mayors, there is no success record for it. And when you look at the ability, I have the money now to get my message out. I have the money to put my campaign staff in place. We are now going to be able to mount a very serious campaign. And I know how to campaign. Look at the 2021 race. I was 13 points behind Andrew Yang, and I was able to overcome that deficit and become the mayor of the city of New York. I have a good record I'm running on. The other candidates, one don't have a record. The other is running from their record. And I am the only candidate with a record.
Right. You were speaking there about Andrew Cuomo, right? Who you recently called the double-digit loser.
Yes. Not only a double-digit loser in the primary, but look what he has done to the city of New York. He's the architect behind passing the bail reform that allowed dangerous criminals on our streets. 15,000 of our parents and grandparents died in nursing homes under his policies on COVID. He dismantled Advantage program that was subsidies for people that needed their rent subsidized. And now we saw a homeless spike because of that. The cannabis crisis, something that was troubling to the Latino community, overproliferation of illegal shops that I had to close down. That was his bill that he signed into law. And so it's more than just he lost already after spending $25 million, but he has a terrible record that has hurt the city of New York.
Right. He's lost the Democratic primary, right, against Zoran Mamdani. Let's talk about the Democratic Party, about your ex-party, right? You have walked away from the party, as have many Latinos. It's something polls had already shown might happen, and then the presidential election confirmed. Can you give us your take on this?
Well, first, I am still a Democrat. I want to be clear on that. The rules allowed me to stay in the party, but run on an independent line. That's what the rules allow. But even with that in mind, I say over and over again, I haven't left the Democratic Party. The party has left many working class people because of not being able to stand for things that I believe are important to working class people. Working class people are concerned about public safety. That's a real issue that you hear over and over again, either one or two in the poll. Working class people are concerned about the crises of not being able to make ends meet, something I grew up into. I know what poverty is like. I grew up as a child in poverty. And the working class people have real issues that I have wrapped my campaign and my administration around. And I think that is why it's important that we continue to highlight those issues.
Right. You are still a Democrat, as you say, as you claim.
Yes.
But you've had several clashes with the Biden administration and with other senior Democrat politicians about immigration, but not only about immigration. Do you feel that the Democratic Party went after you, or some figures in the Democratic Party went after you?
Yes, I do. I made it clear that I believe it was a level of lawfare. It was really unfortunate what happened in 15 months, having to go through this. No American should go through this. But not only did I believe that, and I think it's often overlooked, but President Biden stated that his Justice Department was politicized, and that's why he pardoned his son. President Trump stated that the Justice Department was politicized and went after him. And you look at someone like Brian Benjamin, the highest ranking African-American in this country, in this state, as a lieutenant governor. They went after him and then dropped the charges and destroyed his career. So it's not that I'm the only one that's stating that. You have people on both sides of the aisle saying the same thing, and you have many Americans who are the victims of this lawfare are saying the same thing.
How much responsibility or blame would you give to Governor Hochul?
On what level, when you say responsibility and blame? On the state, she has been a great partner in this state. We've done some great things together around.
On the persecution you claimed that you had, on her being a top Democrat. And
Governor, there's no indication at all that Governor Hochul has been any way involved with what came out of the Justice Department under the Biden administration. In fact, she has been a great partner to the state. And so I see no indication that she had any involvement at all.
Okay. We keep talking about the Democratic Party, but about New York specifically, about the recent elections. As we reported here at VOZ, the Democratic Senator John Fetterman said that Mamdani is not a Democrat. Would you agree?
Well, I think Mamdani classifies himself as part as the socialist party in the movement.
Right.
But the primary has spoken. The numerical minority vote has communicated. We have 91% of people have yet to vote. 2.5 million Democrats have yet to vote. And so I think that the city is going to determine who's the next mayor of the city of New York is going to be.
Yeah, but younger, newer voters preferred Mamdani over Cuomo, right? Do you think that sends a signal about the future of the party?
Well, I think it's too early to talk about if younger voters or older voters determine who they wanted. During the primary, younger voters did it during the primaries, but we have a general election. Our process is not during the primary. Our process is the general election. And so we will see what younger voters state during the general election, and then we can make the determination if in the city of New York, that was their preference. It was clear that those who voted did not agree with what Andrew was stating. They voted against him, and there was a 13-point deficit that he did not recover from.
Let's talk about the two main concerns among Hispanic New Yorkers nowadays. First, public safety. You talked a little bit about this. You would talk about your New York celebrating the lowest numbers of shootings and homicides. But those numbers have been dropping since you took office, but other types of crime have gone up, right? Like felony assaults, robberies, car thefts. Could you explain this?
No, actually, it's going down. Only area that we are seeing a problem is felony assaults. When you look at the last 6 months, the numbers of robbery, grand larceny auto, the other major crimes in the city, including hate crimes, you're watching a decrease. This is how you see trending. What people often do, they compare what happened 5 years ago instead of year over year. The way you judge the success of the city is what it did last year in comparison to this year, because that's in close proximity to any changes that could impact us. When you go back 10, 15, 20 years ago, those are different days and different times. When you look year over year, from last year to this year, our crime numbers are moving in the right direction, and it's matching how great our economy is doing as well. It shows that our city is moving in the area that it should be moving in.
Mamdani used to support the Defund the Police movement. Now he says he has changed. Do you believe this is a sincere reconsideration?
No, I do not. I believe he has shown us he will say anything he has to say to get elected, even promising that he would have free buses by raising the income tax on 1% of high income earners. Mayors don't have the authority to raise income taxes. Assemblymen have that authority. He's an assemblyman. If he couldn't accomplish it when he was the assemblyman, why does he think he's going to do it when he's the mayor, when we don't have that power? He also stated that police should not go to respond to domestic violence incidents. That's one of the most dangerous incidents a police officer could respond to. So what he has said about police department sends the wrong message. And if he all of a sudden state he's going to change, I find that hard to believe.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about socialism as a concept itself, because it's something that really motivates Hispanics and that Hispanics are really aware of in the States. Actually, in the presidential election, we saw many Hispanics voting against the Democratic Party to vote with the intention to vote against socialism. So when Mamdani brings forward this agenda, this socialist proposals, what do you have to say about this? Do you think Hispanics are going to react negatively?
Yes, and when you look at some of the beliefs, particularly about young people, there's almost a romanticizing of socialism. They have this idealistic view of it, but it's a failed process. It's a failed form of government. It has continued to fail. I've been to socialist countries. I've been to Venezuela. I've been to Cuba. I've been to communist countries like China, and I see the impact of communism and socialism. But I think it's more important to focus on how we will continue to make sure that working class people feel they can raise their children and their families here in the city. And that's what I have zeroed in on. These terms and terminologies is something that it would take many years to explain the difference between them. And I just want to communicate with New Yorkers in a plain, simple way. They must be safe. They must feel as though the city is providing them the services that they deserve and their tax dollars are paying for. And that's what I want to do as the mayor.
What would be your main agenda issues, your main proposals regarding affordability in a second term?
To continue some of the success we've witnessed already. We dropped the cost of childcare from $55 a week, $220 a month, to less than $20 a month. We're paying off medical debt for low-income New Yorkers. We just successfully passed the AXTA tax. Low-income New Yorkers are paying no income tax at all. All the things we've done to say to New Yorkers that we know that times are hard and people are trying to make ends meet, because I grew up in poverty. I know what it is to go through the difficulties of trying to make ends meet. I looked at the powers of my office and the powers of the city, and we made to ways of putting money back in the pockets of New Yorkers to the tune of $30 billion. We want to continue that. We want to look at student loans. We want to build more affordable housing. We want to expand what we're doing around universal child care. And so we know we have to find ways of bringing down the cost of working class people. And that's including passing all of our union contracts with good wages for working class people.
How would you define, two final questions, how would you define your relationship with the Trump administration up to now and looking forward, and especially in a possible second term?
I would define it as the same way I had the relationship with President Biden. President Biden came to the city when I asked him to come here because of law enforcement issues, and we needed an ATF director, and we wanted to deal with guns. He came, he spent the day with me. I had a good relationship with the president. People in his administration, there were some issues with. That's the relationship I have with this president. When we agree, we will agree. When we disagree, we will take the necessary legal actions. I brought this current administrations to court more than any mayor in the country, when I disagreed. But when I agreed, such as the major project we had in Sunset Park that is going to have 1,500 union jobs, there was a stop work order, came from the federal government. I went and met with the president, spoke with him. He lifted that stop work order. And so the mayor of this city must be working with presidents, not warring with the president. I'm the mayor of the largest city in America. I'm going to do everything to fight for New York City to get the resources they deserve.
Mr. Mayor, what final message do you want to send to Hispanics?
Claire, I am you. You know, we've come from the same city. I know what it is to struggle. I have not studied struggling. I live struggling. I have not studied poverty. I live poverty. what we have done for bilingual education, what we've done to decrease unemployment in the Hispanic community by 30%, what we've done to make the streets safer by taking 22,000 illegal guns off the street, what we've done about building housing. This has been a administration that acknowledged first Dominican deputy mayor in the history of the city, first Spanish speaking to head the largest department of transportation in the entire city, largest jail system, first Spanish-speaking police commissioner. You can look and see that not only did I talk about helping the community, I brought the community into my administration, and they are part of the leaders of my administration.
Mayor Eric Adams, thank you for being here today with us. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Take care.